Welcome to Hydroproof Hacks Beauty class. This is Sian here. During this tutorial, you will see both live recordings and recordings with voiceover explaining in detail more concisely so you get the benefit up close and personal. I hope you enjoy this class and that it helps you understand. But first, this. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is what Hydroproof is, okay? So this product, it's a silicone cream, right? The base of it is silicone. In most cosmetics, you have different bases. You'll either have a water-based cream, or you will have an oil-based cream, or you will have a silicone cream. And each base reacts differently with different products. So, for example, if you want to thin down a water-based foundation, you use water. When you have an oil-based formula, you're going to use an oil or a wax to thin it down. You can't use a wax to thin a water-based product. You can't use a wax to thin a silicone-based product. You can't use oil to thin a water-based product. Why? Because oil and water don't mix, as we know, right? This is stuff we already know. But sometimes we just have to put the logic together. And it's like algebra. It's an equation. So once we understand the x plus y equals z formula, we're good to go. Hydroproof, being silicone, will not mix with water-based products. I'm sure many of you over the years have maybe tried to put on a silicone-based primer, and then once it's been absorbed, put a water-based foundation over it and notice that it rolls off. I bet you, because I know that happened to me years ago and I couldn't figure it out until I learned the ingredients and how things work. So you cannot thin a silicone-based formula with water. Silicone and water don't mix. You cannot thin a silicone and a silicone formula with wax. They don't blend. You can thin down a silicone formula with an oil, and oil can be beautiful for certain things. But what an oil in its purest form will do to a silicone formula is it will break it down, and it will break it down to a point where it disrupts the x plus y factor completely. So you can do it, but you need to be mindful that if you're going to create something like that with Hydroproof and mix it with an oil, then you're going to need to fix it or seal it afterwards. You've got to put a layer back over it, right? So you need to understand that. But if you're using it for like an editorial effect or something really kind of, you're just feeling the makeup and you want to put it on, it looks absolutely glorious when you make a sheer mix like that. So it's a silicone base, and how it works is basically you put it onto a clean skin. You don't put it onto a moisturizer that's got a load of oil, okay? So understanding ingredient decks and how one thing will work with another is really important, and that's one of the things I needed to talk to you about here, because laying the proper foundation for your foundation is part of the learning curve here. And some of the most often made mistakes are the fact that people do not understand the ingredient deck and how one can relate to another. They don't join the dots. And from this class, what I want you to take away is your desire to be a chemist and a scientist. I want you to take away the love of learning and experimentation. Sorry, my wind chimes are going mad out there. Because when you experiment, you're going to make mistakes, but you're going to learn some amazing stuff that you might actually utilize further down the line in a different capacity. So carrying on from this class and trying it out yourself is really, really important, okay? No one ever taught me this. I went to makeup school, but this is how I learned. I learned from trying. I learned from testing. I learned from creating or being put into a situation where I might not have the right product, the color by numbers product. So I had to invent a product and figure it out. And that's what I want you guys to do, because it's only going to make you stronger. You'll be better artists. You will be able to say to someone, I can do anything. Don't worry about it. You have that knowledge of security, of your ability, which is a glorious thing to have. It's very liberating as a creative to have, to know that you're completely solid. One other thing I really want to talk about is storage. So the way silicone formulas work, whether it's mine, whether it's someone else's, is that a silicone it's a gaseous formula, right? It has gas. So when you store a silicone product that might be in a hot environment like California is now, or anywhere else, isn't she beautiful? I just can't get over her, sorry. When you store a silicone-based product, what happens is that in heat, gases expand. And when a gas expands, it evaporates. It leaves the product and it evaporates. And so the solid stuff that's left will shrink down. Now, a lot of you had that issue with these original palettes. A lot of you had this problem. And the number of people I've said, wrap it in saran wrap, put it in a Ziploc, seal it, make it airtight, right? But now I made an airtight packaging, and the problem that we had has gone away. 3 years of work to create this. So we tested it and tried it. So you don't have to worry as much, but there are still a lot of people using the original packaging. So I want you to get the most out of the product, right? So the other thing is, if you're not making it airtight, which you can do easily, store it in the fridge. You can actually buy small makeup fridges, or you can buy chest-sized fridges, small, small desktop, like those towel warmer sizes. You should be storing cosmetics, whether they are mine, whether it's skincare, whatever it is, store them in a fridge. When, I'm in my studio. When I did my kitchen remodel, I put in a new fridge into my kitchen. I put the old one in here, and now I keep all my skincare, all of my color cosmetics that are creams, lipsticks, lip glosses, pencils. How many times have you tried to use a pencil that maybe you haven't used and it's dried up completely and it's shrunk inside the pencil? Okay, store them in a fridge. So learning how to actually care for your investments, and makeup ain't cheap. So learning how to care for them and make the most out of them is really going to help you. So store them in an airtight, cold environment. All right. That is the first part. That's a little bit of blurb about what it is, how to do it. And now what I want to do is come to the right across here. And we're going to address foundations and concealer. What moisturizer did you wear today, honey?
Tatcha, the water cream.
Okay, I'm going to just tissue it off a little bit because she's got so much hydration. She's like
I'm oily.
You're oily? Yeah, so literally we can just take it off like this. A lot of the time, you don't want skin too dry when you use Hydroproof. You always want a little bit of moisture in the skin. It's really, really important. So I'm just going to leave it like that. It feels vital. It has to look alive, So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I use a little bit of Marvelous Moisturizer, and I put it in the lid like this. So take a little bit of this, and I put a little bit of that, okay? I'm basically just going to take a little bit of Coral Buff, which I really love. This is such a great color because it has so much warmth in it that it actually neutralizes a lot of blues automatically. And I'm also going to take a little bit of Bisque right here and just mix a very sheer color. Can you see how sheer that is? Okay, so we're putting a very delicate veil over what she has here. And because there's moisturizer in it, when the moisturizer sinks in, it's gonna just become Longwear again and disappear. And you can literally just go in very delicately. Guys, your brush skills are really important. I really need you to get away from the big brushes and start to go small. See how many colors I'm mixing here? Just because no one area of the face, it's not the same color. It's not one color will fix all, right? Mm-hmm. So for example, right here, I'm going to add a little bit of pink, dusty mauve. But your brush skills are very important. I see a lot of heavy-handedness when there need not be. You know, when you put your mind in the position of how the camera will see your work, you will always go to a smaller brush. It's really, really important. I put a really delicate veil into her eye, and it reads like nothing. I wonder if you want to step forward towards the camera. Come and show them. Hang on. There. Sundays, I'm going to take Classic 6, which is brilliant. And again, I'm going to, mix moisturizer in with it. And I really love mixing Marvelous Moisturizer with Hydroproof. Why? Because you get a beautiful, dewy, sheer finish. The skin gets some treatment. And once it is absorbed, then you're good to go. And it gives you the slip that you need. Some people write, they say that they cannot understand how they can get Hydroproof to look like skin. And it's simply because they are overloading their brush with product. They don't understand that when you've got 55% pigment, you do not need to be putting a ton of it on the brush. I mean, you can all see how sheer I'm mixing my colors. The skin looks so pretty. It has a sheen to it. It looks nude. It looks vital and alive. It looks healthy and youthful. It really is very beautiful. Do a whole face if you like, and just conceal and use a sheer concealer. And the difference with this versus other concealers is, of course, it's not going to move, it's not going to travel, it's just going to stay put. But you can really keep the undertones of her skin. You know, you can decide, do I want to completely get rid of this? Like, she's got natural flora here. So do I want to really get rid of it? No, I'll just even it out a little bit. And you can press the product into the skin. Don't be afraid. You don't need to fill your palette with product. Learn how to be more frugal with the amount of product that you put out there. You can always create more, right? I'm not wasting as much. I'm not using as much up. It's a more disciplined way to work. And I'm doing her whole face with a number 6 brush. So I found myself keeping the bigger brushes for when I'm doing more beauty-based makeup. And I'm using smaller brushes for when I'm doing real skin makeups. And it helps because what it enables you to do is put color nuances back into the skin to make it look like real skin. So you might need greens, or you might need blues, or you might need pinks, or you might need yellows, or you might want to put some veins back in. You can do all of that, because that will bring the skin back to reality. If you want her to just look beautiful and just have her looking nude, then make a very sheer color wash, and her veins will still show, her this will still show, her that will still show. All of it will look alive. And the beauty, I think, of the most important thing for me is that I don't have to powder. I just leave it, because you do not need to powder hydroproof. And it's very important to understand that, unless you are breaking it down so much so that you need to set it. It's a nice little clean makeup. The benefits of a powderless makeup are quite obvious. First of all, it looks more youthful, the skin looks more vital. Powder can be very heavy, especially in the over 40 client brigade. Also, you really don't need it. You can either blot it with a blotting tissue if you've got oil emerging to remove the oil, or if you have shine developing, just use our Unshine, which is silicone based. Now we want to talk about foundations. So one of the things I want to show you is how you can change, if I'm not doing concealer, how you can change the formula using this. We're liquefying with 4K wet, and 4K wet is not oil based, it's silicone based, and it changes from cream to liquid. It gives you a foundation that you can airbrush or paint on as you would normally do with a brush or a sponge, and as you can see, it's really spreadable. And the beauty of it is it spreads really evenly, very quickly, and it flashes off fast, and it just gives great coverage. So now we're going to do a foundation with it, and we're going to take a number 11, the Classic Queen. And so I'm taking that Queen foundation and doing a very lovely layer of the 4K wet hydroproof mix that I made earlier. I would say the viscosity was between medium and sheer, so it's buildable and also great for airbrushing. But of course you can use anything to apply it with your fingers, brushes, sponges, whatever, and it goes right into skin. Now for beauty makeup, my brush of choice forever has been the Queen foundation, and for a flawless finish that looks absolutely polished and refined, a double brush application is always preferable. So you have one brush that is loaded with product and another one that is dry that you buff in after you apply, and it goes into the skin. It makes it look integral, and it gives it a seamless quality that is timeless and beautiful. Another great brush for doing this same technique, if you prefer a different shape brush, is Best Kept Secret 5 and 6. Great sizes, and they buff in, giving a finish like a Gaussian blur. And this product that I'm applying just gives a really lovely veil, and you can build it where you need to, and maybe that's not all over the face, but that is your choice. As the 4K wet flashes off, the foundation dries, leaving a beautiful finish. This side still has a lot of moisture in it, and there's a slightly different look to it if you look at it closely, and I hope you can see this. It definitely looks more dewy. That's why I said for certain things that mix of Marvelous Moisturizer with Hydroproof is just beautiful. So then if you turn again, can you see now that's more coverage and it's matter? Right. Now the reason it's more matte is because my formula is matte, as you all know, Hydroproof is matte. Because it's got a silicone mixer with it that isn't changing the ingredient deck, so when it dries and when it goes off, it's gonna dry more matte. So for her, with the moisturizer that she had on, actually, it's a very nice combination because you still get some glow, It doesn't need powdering. I can feel that's going off very nicely. And she's got full coverage. You can do that with any part of the body, my friends. If you need to do décolletage, neck, arms, hands, legs, anything, you can do that with any part of the body. Schmicks or Marvelous Moisturizer, which do I choose? Well, Schmicks gives a velvet finish when mixed with Hydroproof. Marvelous Moisturizer gives a more dewy finish when you mix it. Now you can put Marvelous Moisturizer on your skin and then apply a mix of Schmicks with Hydroproof as well. Try it on your clients and see what works best. But those are the differences. Next up, we are making cheek color. You can use Hydroproof with Schmicks, with Marvelous Moisturizer. You can use it with 4K wet, depending on what you want your texture to be. I am going to make a velvet finish cheek color that will be soft, go on her skin, and just sit like a glorious translucent layer. It'll look very natural. I've got Serenity palette here, and using my best kept secret brush, I can apply it to her cheekbones, as you can see. Now also note that I am not brushing it and scrubbing it in, but I'm stippling it on her skin and then using my fingers to really push it in. As it dries off, you can build more color where you need it to be. I like to take it wherever I feel it suits her face. There's no trend for me unless I'm doing a stylized makeup. But when I'm doing a very natural finish, then I focus on the areas that I want the eyes to be drawn to. And I do like taking color towards the bridge of her nose as well, because that is very natural. We do have color there, and then just lose it gently. And the heat of your finger will actually help. Also, a really sensual thing to do is to put a little bit of blush just across her lip line. It softens the line, it makes it look very sensual and very, very beautiful. You can use it anywhere you need to put complexion or vitality into her skin in lesser or greater degrees. You be the judge of that. Next up, tattoo cover with an airbrush, but first, a great trick for people working in production is to make airbrushable glazes. I liquefied Hydroproof with 4K wet, then I added a liquid mix of sealer with 99% alcohol to create these tattoo covers for Ewan McGregor. The flesh tones are gorgeous, you get accurate skin color, and they airbrush like a charm. For a regular beauty airbrush foundation or tattoo cover, just liquefy it down with 4K wet. There are various ways of doing it. You can blast it out at a higher pressure for body makeup. Obviously, you're going to use lesser pressure on a face. When you do blast it out, however, you will need to give it drying time because it is not containing alcohol and so is not quick drying in that way. However, when you use a lower pressure and you apply it gradually, you can take a little blow dryer and dry it in between. So you're going to layer it. Add your first layer gently, low PSI. There's less stuff going off into the atmosphere as well. You get your first layer of coverage, and then just blast it off with a little bit of heat quickly. It will flash off the silicone in the 4K wet, which means that the Hydroproof will set more quickly and you are ready for your next layer to build it up. You can do it with different colors, you can add artwork, you can do whatever you like, but this is the basic process for doing any sort of tattoo cover with 4K wet liquid foundation Hydroproof. It is a similar process for airbrushing foundation. However, because it's going to give you an even coverage, you do not need to apply the air. And because you're doing a lower pressure PSI, it will actually help the product dry as it's going onto the face. So you get that perfect finish really, really quickly. And there it is. Easy, simple to do, buildable, and beautiful. Lipwear and Hydroproof go beautifully together. The next two tricks are really, really helpful. You can mix lipwear in Hydroproof. So if you want to put a shimmer into a foundation or into a cheek color, that is easily done. But something that I also really love to do is to lay lipwear over Hydroproof for a dewy, soft sheen or shimmer. I've got my Radiance palette and I'm just putting it over the cheekbones just to give it the most delicate of sheen or glisten effect. And another thing I love to do is to just take a brush and put it over the tops of eyelids as well for a soft, sultry glow. You can take the sheen and apply it to different parts of the face, around the lips, continue highlighting and accentuating areas that you want to give a vibrant and vital glisten to her complexion. And I think it looks really, really pretty. Take a metal spatula and put some Hydroproof into a mixing pan or palette or whatever. You take quite a bit and you're going to then add lipwear to it. So you can add Radiance lipwear. It's got lots of different pigments, golds, pinks, cool tones that you can add to create your own cheek colors or bronzers or Longwear lips. And what I'm doing here is making a bronzer to blend onto her cheeks, give her a bit more of a healthy tan. I add schmicks to this because what the schmicks will enable me to have is more playtime. It creates more slip to the product and it enables it to just be more pliable. And I'm taking my classic Queen and taking it across her cheeks to start building this beautiful soft shimmer glow. It also works beautifully on eyelids. Put it anywhere on the face, down the neck, on the chin, across her jawline, wherever you want her to have a little bit of a soft sheen. And it's very, very subtle, but of course always buildable. And once it sets, it stays Longwear. So it's great for bridal too. It's so pretty and so subtle, but because it's so buildable, it looks fresh and you can take it to any strength that you like. It's just beautiful. And here it is in close-up so that you can actually see the coverage that you can get if you want, or how soft and how softly it blends out to nothing. You get a beautiful sheen. You can put it in your lips, on your eyelids, and of course in your foundations. Next up, we're going to take some schmicks and make yet another product. Ever wanted to do a smoky eye that doesn't rub off all day? Well, here I am taking my melanin palette and I am picking a gorgeous color called Alec and taking exactly the same process as before, using my spatula, putting it either into the lid of the palette or into a mixing dish. I am going to combine the two products together and make a very nice gel smoky eye product. I'm taking my Best Kept Secret 2 brush and I think that's called Cute Concealer, and it's going straight into the lash and just using my finger to smudge it out and make it mucky. I do like a mucky smoky eye rather than very perfect, just for the essence of it. I like the way it looks. I can go back in to my work and keep building. I can make it as delicate as I want or as strong as I want. And that Best Kept Secret is a really great brush because of its pyramid shape. This is what I call a clean smoky eye, because you can see a lot of the lid. It essentially enhances the lash area, defining upper and lower lashes. Nice and clean. The eye is still open. It's great for day wear, great for bridal, great for mothers of the bride, women over 40, 50 who have fine lines, because just as pencils will run, this will not, so it will stay put. And then I'm taking the classic one, the fine detail brush, and going in and doing her waterline, because you can use Hydroproof on a waterline. It will not move either, and it does not hurt eyes. So I'm enhancing her lid waterline area to give more definition and punch to the look, and amping it up. And of course you can darken it, but you can also brighten, and whichever product you like to use. Some people use the pinks out of Serenity palette to brighten. Great for deeper skin tones, actually, where the waterline is a richer color. It's not necessarily a pale color from Essence or Boreal palette, so you would need to use a richer palette. Even colors from Essence, which can be adjusted for skin tone matching. There you can see she's got much more of a defined smoky, and her lid now has color to it, so that's great for a night look. And there is Boreal palette, which is brilliant for fairer skin tones to use as an eye brightener. Next up, we're going to do a cat eye, and I've got classic 2A there. You can also use 2N if you wish. We're taking that Elec mix with Schmix that I made earlier and taking it to her upper lid. And the brilliance about classic 2A is that because of the bend, it gives you so much more control when you're applying the line, because the brush is bent and you are not just bending over double. You get a quick line really fast. It doesn't look crepey. Again, it's waterproof. It will handle rubbing of eyes to wipe away tears or whatever, and it is simple elegance. You can see quite clearly how clean the work is and how classically beautiful. Of course, you can use it to define eyebrows. You can fill brows where it's patchy. I would recommend a classic 0 or a classic 1A for that. And whilst you are emphasizing, you can brush in with a spoolie which coats the hair, not only fixing it, but thickening it too. Hydroproof's great for a bit of character work. I have the Vida palette here, which is one of my favorite palettes, because not only can you mix foundations from it, but of course a plethora of flesh tones, cheek tints, brilliant for period makeup, beautiful for editorial and everyday use. And here we're just going to do a very simple bruise using a stipple sponge, mixing different colors from the palette, the base color being Lake or Cochineal, and taking it across her cheekbone little by little with an orange stipple sponge. And you can keep building as you need. You can put other colors in from palettes like Brio or Serenity, and the magic really starts to happen when you take a little Q-tip with alcohol and you start to just press it in to the Hydroproof, which pushes it into skin and makes it become integral. You can of course also do this with 4K wet, which is even better for working around the eye area. Ever wanted to do body makeup that can be waterproof but have a bit of sheen and last all day? Well, this is a really great little method. I'm just going to take some of that bronzer that I mixed up earlier on with the Schmicks, the Lipwear and the Hydroproof, and I'm going to paint it straight on to my beautiful model's shoulders and tan her up. I have done tanning like this so many times, and because you've got the Schmicks there, of course it gives you a bit more playtime. Use your hands, work it in, make it become part of the skin. Don't forget to do a different color underneath the inside of the arm that doesn't see so much. And if you want a really nice sheen, then a very quick solution is to use spray tan, like the Coppertone tan that you can get. It's brilliant for giving a nice fresh look. Looks amazing on legs. Obviously it's not oil based, so it's not going to break down hydroproof, but it's a really great way for you to give skin a gorgeous body glow. Great for bridal, great for runway, great for every day, great if you're going out to some event and you just want to amp up your color. It will not rub off on your clothes at all. You can wear a lovely white frothy top, dress or whatever, and it won't touch anything. And a lot of bridal artists write back to me and they tell me that Hydroproof on the body for their clients is absolutely brilliant. Follow us on social media at Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest and YouTube, and sign up for our newsletter at sianrichards.london.com. See you soon!